Good day, and thank you for tuning in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast for all of our new listeners and viewers who are tuning in for the very first time. I'm Pastor Pope, and thank you for allowing us to come into your viewing environment. We are here with you every Monday through Friday from 12:30 p.m. until 1 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, broadcasting live from the FijiWater.com sponsored studio to address whatever topics you might like to discuss. Whatever issues of life you find challenging or that you find difficult to navigate. You can discuss careers, finances, entrepreneurship. You can discuss marriage, divorce, raising children, blending families. You can discuss dating and relationships. Whatever's in your heart, whatever's on your mind, God is concerned about that which concerns you. And that's why we are here with you every Monday through Friday from 12:30 p.m. until 1 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast, which is brought to you daily by Fiji Water, Earth's finest water. You may already know that Fiji water comes from Fiji. However, did you know that it is created by nature? It is untouched by man. It starts as a tropical rainfall which slowly filters through layers of volcanic rock, where the water collects in a natural, sustainable artesian aquifer where it is bottled right at the source, free from human contact until you unscrew this blue cap. Fiji Water, Earth's finest water, will be delivered right to your front door when you subscribe for delivery. And you'll save money at FijiWater.com. This is not just ordinary water. This is Earth's finest water at FijiWater.com. And for those of you who continue giving on the Give segment of our app at New Life-Delaware, and those of you that have made a weekly or monthly commitment to support the broadcast by giving on the contribution pages of our websites, at NewLifeMinistriesInternational.com and NewLifeInternationalCDC.com. We thank you for your support and for your commitment as we fulfill our commitment to God to be here for you to address whatever topics you might like to discuss and whatever issues of life you find challenging or that you find difficult to navigate. So I have to say to all of our listeners and viewers, thank you for the continued encouragement and support. Yes, we have a new segment of our FijiWater.com sponsored studio. So thank you for your encouragement. We're delighted that you love the new look. And I just want to remind everyone that this was all in preparation for us to launch our 24-hour, 7-day-a-week internet radio station, WKAP-Faith. So you will be able to continue viewing and listening on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, and RadioFreeNetwork.com. Go to RadioFreeNetwork.com and you'll be able to / WKAP-Faith. And as of Sunday, March the 27th, we will be going live. So you will hear music 24 hours a day, music that will encourage you, empower you, and inspire you to be the best version of yourself that you can possibly become. You will hear segments such as C3D. You will hear segments on health and wellness with our monthly contributor, Rebecca Buva, licensed and registered dietitian and nutritionist, BeccaTheDietitian.com. You will hear segments on mental health and wellness, segments on financial literacy, and on entrepreneurship. So you will be hearing segments that are plugged in on the broadcast, but you will be able to listen to music 24 hours a day, wherever you are across the U.S. and wherever you are around the globe. So stay tuned. We're excited to launch on Sunday, March the 27th. We want you with us, and we know you're excited because of all the communications we received. So to God be the glory. That's all I can say. It's been a journey to get to this point. We've been live streaming for 4 years, 4 years as of October 2017 we launched, and now it's the next phase. We are going to our 24-hour internet radio station across the U.S. and around the globe. You will be able to tune in to WKAP Faith Empowerment Radio. I'm going to address a communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers who indicated that you want it all. You want to have a great career, and you want an extremely busy and popular social life. So how do you achieve both is what your question is. And let me respond by saying this. First of all, you've got to know that those two objectives are not compatible. What those two objectives lead to is mediocrity. If you're going to have a great career, you're going to have to focus on building and developing a great career, which is going to enhance your financial wealth. You cannot work and save your way to wealth, but you can work, save, and invest your way to wealth. So you have to understand that those two are not compatible. If you're going to focus on having a great career, you can have a great quality of life, but having an extremely busy and popular social life is not going to lead to you maximizing your success. So I want to break this down for all of our listeners and viewers, and I'm really delighted that you sent in this communication, because it's real important that we understand. First and foremost, we are living to first maximize, well, let me say this. We want to enhance our personal life and our professional life. And we want to maximize our success in both, personally and professionally. And eventually we want to get to a place where we experience the fullness of God in all of our lives. And experiencing the fullness of God means that we are in great health, prosperous, and that we are in a great place spiritually. Let me analyze it this way for you. We want to make certain that we break down every component of our lives to maximize the success and experience the fullness of God. And then you've all heard me talk about the importance of maximizing the fullness of God. And when you do that, you get to a place where you begin to, you're preparing for the future generations. So that's really maximizing the fullness of God. What we have to begin with is developing our personal lives and our professional lives, enhancing them. How can we be more successful personally, and how can we be more successful professionally? The goal is to maximize that. So in our personal lives, the one thing that we should all be working for is to build wealth. The rest of this, none of the rest of this matters, because let me just say this: fun is overrated. It doesn't mean you can't have a good time and enjoy life. It just means that, trying to live for fun is overrated. So I love to run. I love to golf. Those are things that I can do, and I can pick and choose my moments when I'm going to do them, because, and particularly when the weather breaks here in our region of the country, of the U.S., I try to get out and play golf in the afternoon a few days a week, and I try to get out and run a few days a week. You've got to schedule your lifestyle. You've got to manage your time and your lifestyle effectively and efficiently. So, people who are just living for fun they're not managing their lifestyle. You've got to pick and choose the moments when it doesn't interfere with you building, enhancing your professional life and building wealth. You've got to pick and choose your moments, and the more you work to that end, the more moments that you begin to find. You begin to find moments that you can do additional things, but the goal is to keep moving forward, both personally and professionally. Being able to navigate your personal life to a point where you know that every day when you wake up, today's going to be a good day. Today's going to be even a better day than yesterday. It's going to be better than the day before. It's going to be better than the week before. And you have that to look forward to, because that's your expectation, because you know that you're working every day to enhance your personal life, your personal lifestyle. So that's going to be real important. Picking and choosing your moments, not being spontaneous. I know, listen, I've gotten so many emails over these past 4.5 years when we started live streaming from people who would say, well, Pastor, I like being spontaneous. I get it. You get to decide what you want to do with your personal life. What you're asking me is, how do you enhance it? So I'm giving you the tools to enhance it. Being spontaneous is not going to lead to maximizing your success. It's going to disrupt the quality of your life, because you're going to do things that are not timed properly, they're not managed properly, and then you've got to live with the consequences of that. You've got to live with whatever the consequence might be. And some people are okay with that. They're okay with living with consequences. That's not my thing. I like to make certain that every day is focused on enhancing the quality of my life and moving forward and continuing to build what God has purposed for my life. Continuing to not just build for the present, not just live, I live in the present, I build for the future. So you have to realize that if you're going to have a great career, see, that's what's interesting about your communication. You said you want to have a great career. You can have a good career. You can have a job, but that's settling for mediocrity. You want a great career. Let's focus on that for a moment. Great career implies that you're going to perform at the highest level. You can't hang out all night and perform at the highest level. It's just not. They work opposed to one another as opposed to working together in unison. Having a great career and having an extremely busy and popular life they work. Those two objectives, if that's what you're living for, are not compatible. They're only going to lead to living in mediocrity. And I don't know about anyone else, but I refuse to live in mediocrity. And that's not where I choose to dwell. Now, I don't need my name blinking in lights, and I don't need people to see me on display, but I refuse to live life in mediocrity. I grew up in less than mediocrity. So I certainly didn't want that for the rest of my life. And I'm encouraging all of our listeners and viewers, let's really be intentional about the way we want to live this life. Let's be real intentional about how we move this life forward, how we maximize our success, how we have the possibility, the potential, and the opportunity to maximize our success, enhance the quality of our lives, maximize our success, and then experience the fullness of God. And you've all heard me say this, I'm not talking about just particles of God. Particles of God are things, as I've mentioned in the years past, they're the tangible things of, I get a new car, I buy or build a new home, I've got, I can go on vacation, I can go on a trip. All of those are particles of God. But when you build wealth and you build a great quality of life, that's when you experience the fullness of God. Because contrary to popular belief, I know people have been misquoting the Bible for years, saying money is the root of all evil. Money is not the root of all evil. The love of money, the Bible says, is the root of all evil. In other words, you can't be obsessed with it to the point where you begin to abuse it. And that's the problem with money. Money is a tool to use for many things. Money is not the problem. It's those of us who use it that abuse it. The Bible also says in Ecclesiastes, money answers all things. So it's telling us that money is a necessity in life. But what you do with it is the difference. Because only what you do for God will last. In other words, the poor will always be among us. So you have to be working to generate wealth so that you can provide for those who have not maximized their opportunities, have not maximized their potential, and for whatever the issues might be, we want to not give them a handout, but we want to give them a hand up. We want to build them, meet them right where they are and build them up from there. Now, some people will refuse, and that's okay. That's a choice. The power of our choices are going to determine where we go from here. So let's make certain we make the right choice. Build your great career. Enjoy life. Don't worry about being popular. Don't worry about being busy socially and being popular socially. Who cares what other people think? Because I don't really need everybody to see what's going on. Because I want to do what God has purpose for my life, and in that lies all the blessings, and I encourage all of our listeners and viewers to do the same. This segment of the broadcast has been brought to you by T-Mobile, America's largest, fastest, and most reliable 5G provider at no extra charge. So if you are not currently a T-Mobile customer, you may call or text on the T-Mobile caller text line at 267-992-1424. We will move you into our queue so that you may become a T-Mobile customer and experience America's largest, fastest, and most reliable 5G provider at no extra charge. Taxes and fees are included in your bill, and if you auto pay by attaching a credit card to your account, you will receive a discount on your monthly bill. At T-Mobile, America's largest, fastest, and most reliable 5G provider at no extra charge. I'm going to address another communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers who indicated that your job has become overwhelming and there is never an end to the work that must be done. You said you want to know how can you eliminate the feeling of being overwhelmed. You know, one of the things you've got to recognize is that the work is never done, but at the end of the day is done. So let's break this down a little bit so that we are clear on what it looks like to be productive in our professional environment. If your work comes to an end, you don't have a job. That's the first thing. If your work comes to an end, you don't have a career. You might be able to find another job, but if your work comes to an end, you don't have a career. You want to be in a place in your career where the work is never done, but the day comes to an end. You know, the feeling of overwhelm, the overwhelming feeling you have right now is partly brought on, and let me just share this with you. I was prayerful about this. God allowed me to see in that secret place of your life. You're just a little overwhelmed right now because you're suffering from what's now commonly known as COVID fatigue, but we're coming out of this. You know, we've been in this experience for the last 2 years. And at the end of the day, we now recognize that it's something we're going to have to live with. We are going to have to learn to live with COVID. The coronavirus is not going anywhere. We will eventually, and some of you have heard me say this before, they will develop in the pipeline of some of these pharmaceutical companies. So if you have a pharmaceutical company that you're familiar with, or you can do some research, buy some shares in those publicly traded companies that will help you to build some wealth. But they will develop in their pipeline products that will address the coronavirus, where we will go and get an annual shot just as we do a flu shot right now. And, you know, the influenza is a part of our lives. And every year we have the opportunity to get a flu shot to address that so that we don't become ill from influenza. Well, the same thing's going to happen eventually with the coronavirus. The problem is we've been dealing with a public health crisis for the last 2 years that has caused people some unnecessary stress. And what I mean by saying unnecessary stress, we've been battling against it. It's not for us to battle individually. It's for the government to develop policies. It is for the health care public to develop protocol. It is for the Center of Disease Control to give us guidelines so that we can stay safe and well. But we've been dealing with this for 2 years, and none of us has ever had to deal with this before. Think about this. This has never occurred since 1918, I believe, was the last time we had a global pandemic. I think that's the number. And don't quote me on that, but it's pretty close. So just think about this. We are in 2022. So even if someone is a centenarian who has lived over 100 years, they weren't old enough to remember this experience. And the reason that I'm bringing all of that up is because none of us has ever had to deal with this before. So everyone has been impacted in some way, some of us positively, some of us negatively. Some people have been impacted negatively. I can tell you, part of it is is our perspective, how we view things. Now, I'm always a glass half full guy, because I know that no matter what, unless the Lord calls me home, tomorrow's going to come, and I expect every day to be better than the day before, and I'm working to maximize today, but I'm expecting tomorrow to be even better. So we have to think about it in the terms that because you're dealing with some COVID fatigue, you're kind of struggling with that a bit. The workload for all of us, and let me just make sure everyone understands this. We've all been working more. I'm not suggesting that none of us worked hard before, but we've all been working. If you have been working from home, we've all been working more, and I'm going to tell you what that looks like. You start your day earlier, you end your day later. And the reason is because there's no more commute time, no windshield time. For most people, we've been working from home and we get up the same time that we've always gotten up. We do the same morning rituals, our morning hygiene. If you work out in the morning, you work out, shave for us men, shower, and we get dressed and start our day. But because we don't have commute time, we start earlier. We end later because we don't have commute time. So we find ourselves staying in front of our computers even later than we normally do when we were in the office and we leave the office. And what happened for many people is that feeling of not being able to separate the office from home and work from home life has made people begin to feel a little overwhelmed. Now, I look at it from the positive perspective that, I'm working more. I've always worked hard, but I'm working more. Now, I pace myself. I'm not ever in a hurry to do anything because poverty comes upon those who rush. But the reality is, and you make less mistakes. I'm always looking to be effective and efficient. I'm not perfect. I make mistakes, but I do the best I can. And I always want to perform at a high level. And I encourage every one of us to desire to perform at the highest level. So we have to make certain that we're doing everything that we possibly can to achieve that. So you're going to have to eliminate the feeling of being overwhelmed by realizing that all you're doing is working more. And the workload is still the same, but you're just working more. You're working longer. And that's why you're getting the feeling of being overwhelmed. The reality is that at the end of the day, it's still the end of the day. We all get the same 24 hours in every day. It's what we do with those 24 hours that are going to determine whether or not we perform at the highest level and maximize our success by the end of the day. So I'm going to encourage you to just focus on the fact that you're getting more done, but you still end your day. You just aren't ending it. Look, you would leave the office previously, and I don't know you and you don't live in our region, but you'll know I'm telling you the truth. You were leaving the office previously by 5:30. You go in at 9, day ends at 5, but you would leave the office by 5:30. You kind of wrap everything up like many people do. You leave the office about 5:30, you're home by 6. Now you find yourself working until 6:30, maybe 7 o'clock at home. And now you're in the office at home working, and I say the office at home, you're at your workstation at home working now by 8 o'clock. So you're already putting in more time than you normally would. And now the time that you would normally spend working on some things to prepare for the following week, over the weekend, you're doing a little more of that. That's because we recognize there's still things that need to be done. The good news is the work is never going to be done. It's always going to be more work. Just relish the fact that at the end of the day, no matter what time you end your day, the day is over and a new day will begin tomorrow. So don't stress yourself out, basically, about being overwhelmed with the workload. I'm happy for the workload. It doesn't, listen, it's not to say the work is not a daunting task. When you have a big career, work is going to be a heavy load to carry. But you're equipped to carry the load. You're proficient, you're competent, you're equipped to carry the load. You've got to give yourself a break in the sense of stop worrying about, are you getting everything done? Everything is never going to be done. There's always going to be something, and this is for all of our listeners and viewers. There is always going to be something more that needs to be done. And when you get to the point where there's nothing else that needs to be done, that's a problem. Because what happens to your career? And we want to maximize our success in all of our careers and maximize the quality of our lives. This segment of the broadcast has been brought to you by Charles Tyrwhitt, located in London, the UK. They also have stores in New York, Chicago, Washington, D.C., and at the King of Prussia Mall in King of Prussia, Pennsylvania. So if you're in any of those areas, stop in at their retail stores. They have everything that a man could possibly need. They have shirts for men, ties for men, suits for men, and accessories. And if you're not in any of those areas, you can still order from Charles Tyrwhitt at ctshirts.com. They will ship and deliver right to your front door in an appropriate period of time. And The White Company, located in London, the UK, and they also have a store on Fifth Avenue in New York. If you're in New York, stop in at their retail stores. They have everything that you could possibly need. They have home goods, clothing for men, women, and children. And if you're not in New York, you can order from The White Company at thewhitecompany.com. They too will ship and deliver right to your front door in an appropriate period of time. I'm going to address another communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers who indicated that you've been having dreams recently that you're not quite certain what they imply, but it's been a reoccurring dream. So I'm going to share with you and tell you this because God allowed me to see in that secret place. As I was prayerful about this, you've got to begin to do this. First of all, you've got to write down everything that you hear and see in the dreams and what you've already heard and seen. Because what's happening is God is trying to speak to you. And you've got to be able to listen. You've got to be able to hear from God. You need to write them down so that you can refer back and begin to analyze what God is speaking to you. So let me just share with you what God showed me in your dream is that you're going to be offered a position that is going to take you to another region that is unfamiliar to you. Now, I want you to stay with me here. So what you're going to need to do is to make certain that this transition is successful, because it will occur, is you're going to need to begin to do research on that particular city and region, around the area around that city also. Begin to do some research on housing. Begin to do some research on, the cultural events, so that when you go, you're comfortable. And God will reveal this to you. And then begin to chart out making a trip there, just so that you can go and spend 3 days. And when you go and spend 3 days, do nothing else except visit the adjoining communities, visit just really get to know the area for those 3 days. And then when you come home, much more of this will begin to make sense to you. You'll be able to really understand exactly what God wants you to do. Because when you relocate there, you will eventually, first of all, you're going to relocate there for the position that's being offered to you. And secondly, you're going to have the opportunity to open a small business. And both of those are going to bless your life. And just begin the process by writing down exactly what you've heard and seen in the dreams. And that's going to get you started on what you need to know about the transition that's going to occur in your life, and to God be the glory. Today's Daily Divine Direction broadcast 3D has been brought to you by Fiji Water. A taste of paradise will be delivered right to your front door when you subscribe for delivery, and you'll save money at FijiWater.com. May God bless you today. May God keep his face turned towards you. May God give you peace that surpasses all understanding. Have a great day today. I look forward to being in your viewing environment tomorrow. And remember, we encourage you to invite your family, friends, coworkers, and colleagues, or I should say continue to invite them to tune in. They can view us live on Facebook, live on YouTube, and on RadioFreeNetwork.com. Go to RadioFreeNetwork.com/new